22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is BlackWestchester.com presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday 6 to 8 on INTHEMIXXRADIO.com, giving you real talk for the community since 2014. This is episode 199. 1 week away from the 200th episode. And I'm proud to announce we have special guests already confirmed and lined up, like County Executive George Latimer and Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins. They will be here next week in the building. Along with them, we will also have our all our co-hosts, previous and current. They will all be here talking about their favorite show, their favorite memories on the show. I'm hearing Mount Vernon Council President Andre Wallace will be in the house. Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano may drop through, and there may be any number of other surprises. We will also be on for an extra hour. We will be on from 5 to 8 instead of 6 to 8. It's going to be a big celebration, and we welcome all of y'all to check us out. Of course, we are still, if you want to be a sponsor for the show, hit us up. You can do so electronically. I'm about to put the link on real quick. So anybody who wants to make a donation to the cause can do so online right now. 1 second, trying to do 10 things at once. Copy, paste. Okay, should be there. There we go. That is the link to the PayPal. In the building, of course, as always, Lorraine Lopez today is, because of the weather, she's relaxing. She will be here next week. She is not here today. But we do have in the building the one and only Dr. Robert Baskerville, Ph.D., a.k.a. Dr. Bob, a.k.a. Brooklyn Bob. One of the original hounds of the Baskervilles in the place to be. What's up, fella?
All right, I thought I was gonna have to dive over the desk for calling me Biff.
No
Biffs today.
I wasn't gonna do the Biff Baskerville today, but since you brought it up,
AKA Biff Baskerville.
Yeah. Shout out to E, who came up with that. Bob's homeboy E. They came up with that. But yeah, this is the 199th show. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that has been going on. Of course, we talked about it extensively. The melee at Mount Vernon high school. Broken glass everywhere. Fat Boy and Mayor Thomas in the building like they just don't care. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Word up. Word up.
Okay.
I got that from today's Pugsy P. Pugsy P said that.
Word?
Yeah,
Oh,
Pugsy P and Carlos was rapping earlier.
Word.
You got to see the
Spit
video.
on it.
Yeah, you got to see the video. They did a little rendition.
I didn't even hear about it.
They did their little rendition earlier today.
Okay.
Word up. So we had
check
that. Dr. Bob wrote a excellent article on what's going on with the controller and the financial situation in Mount Vernon. I'm trying to pull that up right now as we're speaking, because everybody needs to check this out. You know, Dr. Bob, he contributes from now in time. You know, it might be, you know, once a year, because these articles be so extensive. You know, it takes him a while, intellectual conversation with Dr. Bob. But yes, he did a piece on pulling up the title right now because I want to read the exact title as is.
Gangsta Economics.
Yes, there you go.
Go on.
ahead.
No, you see the title, so you can read it.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm going to post it right now so people can see the article. It didn't come up on the screen, though.
Okay, I think the title is Gangsta Economics, Richard Thomas and the Manufactured Financial Crisis in the City of Mount Vernon. Something to that effect.
Now, what was that about, real quick, real briefly? What was that about?
My essential point in the article, it's a multi-piece article that in subsequent editions will try to identify the root cause of the conflict between the mayor and the comptroller. But essentially what I do in part one is make note of the fact that it has been known for some time that the city's finances are in jeopardy precisely because Mayor Thomas has refused for some reason to file the 2016-2017 Urban Renewal Agency audits.
Yes. Maureen Walker also warned of that in her last year in office. She had a town hall forum in city council meeting and brought the lawyers for the city and the control. You know, the control to explain all of that stuff. The people who file, you know, that she hires to file the stuff, they came and explained the necessary of that. Deborah Reynolds, the current controller, explained that in her thing sometime in December. She explained that if these were not filed by January 1st, I believe it was, that we would actually lose our credit rating. And everybody was like, yeah, right, you know, thought she was expounding. Now, I know that there is, you know, rightfully so, there's not a lot of love lost from either the controller and the mayor right now. Going back to when they were on city council, they were permanently never probably be on each other's Christmas card list.
Right.
But so to say that, to take the interpretation that she may have been exaggerating the facts or something to make the mayor look bad. Right. I think some people took it that, well, on January 2nd, as is pointed out in the article, we actually lost our credit rating in the city of Mount Vernon. It has not been downgraded. It has been withdrawn altogether.
Right.
So the subtitle is City Loses Credit Rating, No 2019 Budget Approved, the Controller Warns of Bankruptcy. The other thing she said, and that is pointed out in this article, that the city could officially run out of money and be bankrupt in May. Right now, there still has not been a 2019 budget approved. There is something coming up on the 22nd for the public to go over the budget. So hopefully this will be resolved. But just a forewarning, usually what happens is the city council votes on it, the board of estimates votes on it, the mayor, because he's not getting what he wants, will veto it, and then both entities have to vote on that again. And that's a couple of weeks or at least a month in that process. So we could be going into the end of February and still have no budget unless everything is sped up a little bit and we can get the elected officials to get on the same page. So
right. And so one of my objectives was to try to independently confirm the comptroller's explanation, and as you noted, AJ, we were able to obtain comments, insights from independent experts with Moody's and with the Office of the State Controller, and essentially they confirmed the basics of Comptroller Reynolds' explanation. You cannot have financials. I'm sorry. The credit rating agencies will not perform an assessment of a municipality's credit worthiness without the financials. And if they do, then you got a lot of much higher much higher interest rate that eventually we're going to have to pay. So that's part of an effort to shed some light on this matter. So yes, I wanted to be sure that everyone is aware of this. I also one of the reasons that I published the story when I did, everyone, is because I wanted everyone to be aware that Judge Kakesi, who is overseeing 3 Article 78 suits that have now been combined into one that address this issue, requested that all of the parties involved meet in her chambers on December 12th. Although there has not been a lot of discussion of this matter in our major newspapers, anyone who wants to go to the New York State e-court filing system online can readily obtain access to most of the major documents that have been filed in these cases. And indeed, when I was reviewing them, I noted or saw a letter that Judge Kakesi's clerk had sent to all of the parties asking them to come to her chambers so that she could resolve this matter in the interests of the public of Mount Vernon. For some reason, her invitation was ignored by, I don't know, either Rich, Deborah, or both parties. I believe on the 14th, the judge forwarded another letter, another party invitation to all parties involved, asking them to come to her chambers to have this matter resolved. And I actually think it was on, her call was for on the 21st. You know, even if the city council does and the city does eventually pass a budget, the question of the filing of the audits is still could remain unaddressed and unresolved, and if so, you know, it's still going to cause all kind of complications for the city's finances going forward. Moreover, at this point, AJ, and we've discussed this and alluded to this several times on the show repeatedly, there is reason to fear now that the city may well find itself saddled with legal debts and penalties from various lawsuits that the mayor involved the city in that could well break the bank. Thankfully, I have a number of friends who will discuss articles with me and call me up from time to time. Not all of them to agree. In many instances to kind of challenge me on some of my assertions, my analysis of the facts. And I did receive a call from one of my confidants who does take the time to, you know, try to offer up another perspective. And one of the things that he reminded me of yesterday was that the city's in for millions and millions of dollars from these lawsuits, from the legal fees that have been run up by the mayor's office as he has had these frivolous lawsuits filed against his counterparts in both the city council and also the comptroller's office, for which he mostly loses. So we ran up a lot of excess legal fees, and then on top of that, we're likely to be penalized in the millions of dollars from settlements of lawsuits that were initiated because the mayor decided that he wanted to shut down people's businesses, and like he did with OK Freddy's and Mega Beverage and Keela Tennis and Cupcake Cutie and whatever other places.
Sully's the auto repair place.
Okay.
He went in there, told Sully to leave, and locked the doors, and therefore, people who were supposed to pick up their cars and stuff, their cars was locked in the business and the whole nine. That was the same day as the last incident with Cupcake Cutie.
And, you know, listen, I mean, the Mayor Thomas portrays himself as a professional. We all know that he has excellent credentials, but he has not lived up to the standards of those credentials in his management of the city's affairs. And people in Mount Vernon better get it together. Now, let me just add one thing. For anyone who wants to get a clear, objective understanding of the budget process, County Legislator Lyndon Williams was nice enough to post to his Facebook page earlier today a pamphlet issued by the Office of the State Comptroller that lays out, it's about 30 pages, and it lays out the budget process. I started to take a look at it. I didn't complete it. I'd urge everyone to go to Lyndon Williams' page and see if you can download it if you want to, you know, get an authoritative overview of how the budget process is going to work as we try to seek for some sort of resolution.
Yes. Still working on the Facebook issue. So that means I know the people on Facebook can't hear me.
Oh.
But we're resolving that as we speak because we're live on Facebook right now. And people are hitting me. What happened to Facebook? I don't know. Facebook just be bugging out.
Well, we're going to be sure to get all these little bugs resolved on episode 199.
Yes.
Because next week is going to be a heck of a show.
Absolutely. So that's what you're hearing. Jamie Pessin also posted something about the BOE and the contract, a public hearing. I think that's the one that's going to be on the 22nd.
Right.
To alert people about that. So.
And I'd also remind everyone that summary and full preliminary budgets are available for download, if I'm not mistaken. So if people want to actually take a look at the budget numbers to see if they make sense and or in keeping with what you think the city's budgetary priorities are, then I'd urge you to take a look so you can be an informed participant in the conversation.
Right. So again, for those who missed it, Dr. Bob's article was called Gangsta Economics. It was an intellectual conversation with Dr. Bob. This is part one. This was on the Mayor Thomas and the manufactured financial crisis in Mount Vernon. City loses credit rating, comma. No 2019 budget approved, comma. Controller warns of bankruptcy.
Right.
Yo.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had what was called a bomb threat in City Hall recently. Westchester County Bomb Squad came. Evidently, there was a suspicious package left in front of the building department. So the building was cleared, and after the building was cleared, somehow people were entering back into the building. They smelled smoke. They went and to find the source of the smoke happened to be a file cabinet in the building department containing contracts and blueprints, etc., that mysteriously caught on fire. The fire was put out. We have not been informed on what has been destroyed, how much has been destroyed. I don't think that I'm being, and I want everybody to see, I don't think that I'm exaggerating or that I am being too much of an alarmist when I hope that this is just a coincidence, but this smells of a citywide, the city government, Mount Vernon city government version of the Watergate break-in, which was, the beginning of the end of Nixon's administration. There's a lot of suspicious parts to this. There are more questions than answers. We don't know what is going on, and this follows the building commissioner Dan Jones being arrested for drunk driving and driving with aggravated unlicensed operation of a vehicle. It was a city vehicle, and this follows that particular person, Dan Jones, of the building commissioner, the building department, attempting to shut down Cupcake Cutie for blueprints.
Right.
I'm not saying one has anything to do with the other, but and maybe this is a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences, but I'm just saying this smells of a Mount Vernon size version of the Watergate break-in. That is just my opinion. And I think that so much more is going to come, and we need to find out what was destroyed. And, the residents need some answers. And Black Westchester will hopefully be able, along with the other media outlets, will be able to get to the bottom of it for you. So I just wanted to say that because, as I'm watching MSNBC and they're doing the talking about the Trump administration and possible impeachments, they keep talking and showing what happened during Watergate, and more situations like this seem very familiar on a citywide, on a local level, than what we faced, what the nation faced many years ago. That is my opinion. That is not fact, but that's what it's starting to smell like to me.
Well, I mean, listen, the way that the mayor is handling the budget, to me, is striking, bears a striking resemblance to the way that President Trump has handled the federal budget crisis. And they take holding the budgets hostage in order for both of the executive officers to get their way with the budget.
And I also don't think that I'm exaggerating when I say, if you look at what the controller has put out, you look at her letter, you read Dr. Bob's article, we may be facing a Mount Vernon government shutdown very shortly.
Right.
We're talking about the national level shutdown, which is affecting a lot of people on the local level, a lot of people working, a lot of people it's affecting a lot of people, but this situation could cause the Mount Vernon city government shutdown, which would be very unfortunate, especially because of what's going on the national level. I don't think the city can handle that, with already everything being cut from the national level. Everything being cut from the national level. I don't think that the city could stand that, and that's all I'm going to say about that, because we're going to move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say we're already seeing that it's having a similar impact on our municipal services. Members of the municipal unions took the extraordinary step of publicly voicing their complaints about apparent failure to be paid for overtime at a press conference that the mayor organized the other day. I certainly believe people work, they need to be paid. So there's no doubt about that. My own feeling is that the municipal unions ought to put arm's length distance between themselves and the mayor, because he has shown no qualms whatsoever about using various individuals or entities for his own political purposes. If the unions have a complaint, and can't say that they don't with respect to the overtime issue, I don't know enough, I'd urge them to simply take their complaints directly to the city council. I believe in some respects that the unions are being used as a symbolic pawn in the mayor's battle with the control or over control of the city's finances. And I want to be very frank that I think that's precisely what the mayor's objective is, to try to wrest control over the authorities that have been given to her office under the city charter, to serve as the city's chief fiscal officer, to maintain control over its various accounts, to ensure that all expenditures have in fact been made consistent with the budget, to file reports. That's the comptroller's job. That's not the mayor's job, and Mayor Thomas needs to stop misleading the people and insisting that he is authorized under the charter to be a signatory to the counts and everything else, because he's not, and it's just pure fiction. So I don't know, but I don't think that this matter is going to be resolved until people are willing to make an independent assessment of what's going on and let the chips fall wherever they may. If the comptroller's at fault, then the comptroller should take responsibility. If the mayor's at fault, then the mayor needs to take responsibility. And if the mayor's been at fault most of the time for most of the travails that the city has experienced, then the mayor needs to take responsibility for being at fault most of the time and to grow as a leader so that the city does not continue to confront all of these unnecessary problems. So, you know, those are my thoughts about the matter. I am now left to sort of flounder a little bit on air. So everyone now, I'm going to go from being smooth and confident Brooklyn Bob. Oh, no. Okay. Everyone, we're going to have a little change of...
Yo, so I'm trying to, because people can't see us anyway, so.
Oh, they can't?
No, because we're not on Facebook.
Okay.
So the people listening, so if you hear that, I'm trying to work that out. We're about to bring in our guest, Donna Nolan and her son. They have a upcoming tournament. They're going to speak about that and the loss of Michael Nolan, who was taken too soon and a senseless victim of senseless gun violence in the city of Yonkers. And we're going to welcome them in right now. So.
Come on in, y'all. Now that I have you by my side, I think I can make it. So,
thank you.
Donna, how are you tonight? It's
Good, Dr. Bob. How are you?
I'm fine. And well, for one, let me firstly just welcome you on air. You're a loyal listener. I know we have, you know, feedback from you all the time, and so it's nice to finally meet you in person. So let me, you know, give
Thank
a little
you.
handshake. And what's your name, brother?
Jimmy.
Jimmy. And
Yeah.
Jimmy, you are Donna's
Older son.
older
Michael's
son.
brother, yeah.
Right. So, listen, it's a pleasure to finally have you in studio.
Well, thank you. You guys have been a big supporter of my families from day one, and I want to thank you guys for that.
Right. Of course, I have mixed emotions, as I'm sure, of course, your family does, and many of our listeners who are aware of the tragedy that befell your son a couple of years ago. I know that this has spurred you and the rest of your family, your son and your husband, to really take up the cause of gun violence.
Illegal gun violence,
Yeah, illegal
yes.
gun violence. But before we get into some of the activities that you guys have been undertaking lately and the big event that you have planned, in the near future, for those of our listeners who are unaware of what exactly happened to your son, I'd appreciate, though it may be somewhat painful to recall it, I think it would provide some context for
No,
our discussion.
there had been, the Tuesday before Michael was shot, there had been a drag race between two groups.
Right.
And there was some words exchanged. There was some words exchanged between both groups. That Thursday, like they always, listen, I'm not denying my son was at Dunkin' Donuts on that Thursday night. I mean, I have 30 people that said he was there. Again, these two groups started having words.
That's the Dunkin' Donuts on Tuckahoe Road?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Yes.
one by my house.
Yeah, that's right
Yeah,
by us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So words again were exchanged. A fight was broke out. Again, was my son there? Absolutely. I also have 30 people that said he didn't even know there was a fight going on because he really wasn't paying attention to it.
Right.
That was just Michael. 3.5 hours later, like he did every night. He'd go to Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, wherever he would
Make
go.
his rounds.
Make his rounds
Yeah,
to
hang
get
out.
something to eat. Just came through the drive-thru. For whatever reason that night, he let a friend of his drive the car. They came through the drive-thru. They parked. His friend got out of the driver's side and started heading into the direction where his friends were. Michael came from the passenger side around to the driver's side, put his food on the top of the car, grabbed his burger, and he turned, was looking at his phone. 2 cars pulled up in front of Burger King, 2 pulled up on the service road, and the 1 car from the service road, the back passenger let off 6 rounds.
Wow.
hitting Michael in his ear. One grazed his chest, and one hit him in his thigh. He was in Jacoby 3 weeks in a medically induced coma. He fought many surgeries. He fought hard, but
Right.
unfortunately, there was other plans for him.
Right. You know, I, of course, read and heard about the shooting the day that it occurred, and I know that me, like so many people in Westchester County, you know, were incensed to hear of another act of violence at all, but, you know, senseless violence.
And that's what it is. It's just senseless. There's just, you know, people are going to have arguments, you're going to have disagreements, but whether it's with a gun, a knife, or whatever, there's no need for it.
Right.
You know, and it's just too much. It's every day. Every day you hear about another young, innocent life being lost at the hands of somebody that probably should have never even been out in the street to begin with.
Right.
You know, but they don't, you know, there's so many other ways you can reach out to the young people, you know, and I think that that's what frustrated me so much with Damon's daughter, because she was doing such a positive thing. Like, let's show the positive. You know, let's try and teach them, or like reach out to them and say they don't need to go that way. But we are very lackadaisical judges, DAs, when it comes to illegal guns.
Right.
You know, like, if you check the database and you go through the 5 boroughs of Manhattan on a Friday night, if you take one person that's shot in each borough, that's 5 people. That's a mass shooting. But people look at it as it's not the same person doing it, or if they didn't pass away, but it's still a shooting.
Right.
You know, so we have mass shootings happening every day. And my heart goes out to everybody. I'm not trying to minimize all the mass shootings, because my heart goes out to all those people, but we have an illegal gun issue, and nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to address that. And what do we do, you know, to get a control on that? Like, nobody wants to talk about that. You know, right away we want to change gun laws and try and do this and try and do that when something happens.
Right.
Why don't we do it before something happens? Let's do something to stop the illegal guns. I'm not saying you're going to stop them forever, but let's make some attempts to do something, and we don't.
Right.
There's a saying, Snug says it, they have Snug in Yonkers, they have Snug in Mount Vernon, but they always say, when they have these rallies and stuff, and this is to everybody who's listening, you do not have to wait for it to hit your doorstep to get involved. Matter of fact, getting involved may prevent it from hitting your doorstep. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times people don't get involved until, like, they hear your story and they're like, oh, you know, they feel your pain temporarily. Then they move on, and then they hear it again, and, you know, they deal with it then they move on. We all need to get involved now. We shouldn't wait for,
don't wait
because
for it to,
because you could be the next person on this radio show, or the next person trying to fight for justice.
never know.